Hello everyone and welcome to the Googly Bushcraft channel. Okay, so I'm just opening a few trails up today with my skis, and yeah, I thought I'd do a quick EDC video, but I thought if I took you out skiing with me and took you on the walk into work with me, then maybe it'd give you like a little bit of a window into my life and to why I carry what I do.
You can't play with your toys all day. You've got to go to work. You've got a sleigh to pull. I don't know if you can see that old barn over there, but there used to be a lot more agriculture around here. All of this, I think, used to be fields, and you can see it a lot more clearly over there where there's drainage ditches. We've got more of a flat area. We're coming up to a lake here that we're going to cross, but basically, sorry about the camera shake, basically I've got a day off. I'm taking this girl into work because she's got to pull a sleigh, and I'm picking some skis up, and the plan is I'm going to open some tracks for the guys to ski on their days off and also skiing to work. We are actually running a little bit late, but that should be good because then Uni can go straight into a team. That's a lot of sleighs, Uni, and you're in the back one this time. Come on, this way. So I'm heading off in that direction. I've got absolutely zero trail, and these skis aren't exactly ideal. Snowshoes would be a lot better, but where I do have a trail, these things are just a pleasure to use, whereas snowshoes are just too heavy and clumsy and slow. So, EDC, what do I carry every day? Well, that's the thing. It varies a little bit. So, yeah, I don't have like a pouch of everyday carry things that I have on me all of the time. One thing, I'm not that organised. And another thing, that's what pockets are for, right? So, yeah, this is my day off jacket. So what I've got in the pockets is going to be a little bit different. So one thing I'll always have is I'll always have my phone buried somewhere within my clothing to protect the battery a little bit. Usually this inside pocket. Yeah, and in this pocket I have a ferro rod and a piece of string. So this is the Kupilka ferro rod. That's one of my favourites. That is my favourite ferro rod. And also when it comes to fire lighting, you know, I generally, that's an off-cut of string that I've just shoved in my pocket thinking, that'll do for lighting a fire. So long as I can keep the snow out of my pocket. Well, when I go walking in the forest, I usually come out with more tinder than I go in with. It's if I see something that'll light a fire, I pick it up. Okay, so that's work stuff, that's not interested. Yeah, so more work stuff. That's for attaching things together, basically 2 clips. So if you've got a dog on the harness, you can attach it to a chain, for example. Okay, so I'm just having a rummage. Magic gloves, liner gloves. I always try to have as many pairs of those on me as possible. You know, they're you put them underneath your gloves, and if you're doing anything fine, you know, you're still not going to freeze your fingers off. And as if they get wet, you can just change them. So yeah, it's good to have a few pairs of those when it's cold. Lighter, I always carry a lighter. Does a lighter work in -30, -40 degrees? Yes, it does. Just keep it buried close to your body, and so long as it stays warm, if you don't have it out for very long, then it'll light, no problem. And it is the fastest, easiest way of lighting a fire. Do I need to light fires every day on a daily basis? Well, I quite often light fires for the clients, but you know, that's usually in an area in a cabin where we have matches anyway. But I do a lot of work with rope and things, and you know, for burning the ends of the rope, things like that, I need a lighter. Also fire lighted, picking up things. This is a bit of a bike tyre, and the rest of the bike tyre, or at least the tread section, is now on the ski of a sleigh. I replaced the skis, and we needed somewhere grippy for people to put their feet. So, you know, bits of rubber. I also often have little offcuts of the rubber that we use on the brakes of the sleighs. You know, little bits of rubber like that. Instead of throwing them in the bin, I'll stick them in my pocket, and one day when it's really, really wet and I'm struggling to light a fire, then I'll have it handy. You know, in the short term, I've got pockets full of junk, which really it'd be better as if I had a well organised fire lighting kit. But yeah. Okay, knives. I always have a knife. It's usually the knife that I'm going to review next. In this case, it's a knife that I did a review of a while ago. It's gonna get cleaned up when I get back. It's obviously got quite damp at some point. Oh, what the hell is that? It's got a bit of surface rust on it, but it's a work knife. It's pretty tough, and that'll clean right up. That'll clean right up. I think that is actually from wood glue. Yeah. So I'll normally carry, as if I'm not going to review something in the near future, I'll normally carry a mortar, a Halter's Fours, or yeah, I've got no reviews of bushcraft knives coming up, so I'm just carrying whatever I had at hand, which is normally a cheap plastic work knife, which is an ideal thing for working because you can knock them around, and you know, as if you break them, they're cheap to replace. So this is what I was hoping and expecting to find. A lot of the way has been driven already by snowmobile. You know, the routes that are good for skiing are also good for snowmobiles. So we're looking at flat areas, in this case between two ridges, and yeah, quite marshy, boggy areas in the summer. And it's quite funny, in the winter you tend to go for areas that you'd avoid in the summer. The lower areas are all boggy and wet, whereas the ridges are nice and dry in the higher areas.
I'm not going to go much into clothing, but what I do generally carry is all wear is maybe sometimes 2 or 3 net gaiters. I also use a she-mag sometimes, wool scarf sometimes, but at the moment I think I've got 2 of these on, so as if I'm on the snowmobile I can cover my nose. Then all of my, this is going to get really wet and frosty. I really don't like to do this, but when it's cold it really protects your face, which is necessary. It's not good if you've got a beard, because your buff, your neck gaiter can freeze to your beard. Another thing I carry all of the time is a head torch, which I'm going into this now because I'm just adjusting my layers a little bit. But my head torch generally stays on my hat, which I wear all of the time unless I'm hot, in which case what I'll do is I'll remove this and I'll just put one of my buffs over my head, which will give me a little bit of protection from the cold, but not too much. So head torch, something I don't need to bother with in the summer because we have the midnight sun up here, but you know, in the winter time, particularly December, January, it's dark all of the time. We've still got very short days, so a head torch is essential.
Okay, so we're coming up to the official snowmobile trail, which is going across there. That'd be great for skiing on, but where I live is round that end of this hill over here. So what I'm going to do is ski off in that direction. I've seen there's been some snowmobile traffic on this trail already, but there's a trail going across the hill in that direction. Then I'm going to go home, I'm going to have something to eat, and I'll show you one more little thing that's quite often overlooked, I think, on EDC videos. Oh, this is beautiful. Yeah, this is quite a hilly section that goes back to the house, and this has actually been driven quite a bit. So far I've been following either where there's absolutely no track that's been driven at all winter, or really old snowmobile trails. This is going to be up and down and quite slidey, and a great track for skiing on. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was my wallet. Another random piece of string. Okay, so generally wherever you go, you take your wallet with you, right? And I thought I'd cover that inside because it actually needs restocking. But in here I always carry a little button compass, you know, because it takes up no space and it may as well be in there, and it's a place that I'm not going to lose it. I also carry plasters or band-aids, which is something that I've either run out of or pretty much run out of. And I have in the past, I used to have one of those makeup pads covered with wax in there that I carried around and didn't use for many years. I could maybe replace that with something, some kind of emergency fire lighter. And also, I used to carry a knife in there. I don't know as if you know higanokami. It's a little traditional Japanese folding knife, and that fit quite nicely in there. But the other things that I carry is some kind of plaster or band-aid and spare batteries for my head torch. As if they'll just loose in my pocket, I'll never find them. And I changed the batteries the other day, so I need to put 3 more in there. And yeah, in the middle of the polar night, I do get through 1 set of batteries a day. The hours we work are extremely long, And when it's dark all the time, you're working with your head torch on all the time. So that goes in there. I'm not going to go over all of the contents of that, obviously. And also for band-aid material, I've done a video about this stuff. Easy plaster. I really like this stuff. It's really great for little cuts on fingers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a good chunk of that, try and keep the backing tape in place, roll it up. So I have done a video on this stuff. I'll maybe put a link in the description. Right, so that's that. So that's 3 essential items somewhere where they can always be found easily. And you can also put other things in there. Like I said, you can fit a little knife, you can fit fire lighting stuff, you could put a ferro rod, some kind of a sharpening device. You could maybe have a card with some wet and dry paper on either side of 2 different grits. That'd also be a good idea. And yeah, it's something that you always carry, so you may as well have a couple of extra little useful items in there. Right, another thing I often carry is I often carry a folding knife. Not usually one this big. It's just this happens to be in front of me right now because I've been cutting food with it. But yeah, there's a lot of things that a flat grind works well for, where most of my knives are Scandi grind, so it gives me a choice of 2 different grinds, and also a backup knife for when my belt knife becomes dull.
Okay guys, well, the everyday carry thing, it's more about what I normally carry. There isn't really an everyday, apart from in the case of the wallet, and I always have basically a cutting tool and a source of ignition. But a couple of other things I should mention is Dutch Army day sack. This I use a lot, so as if I'm going for a day hike, I'll always have this. When I'm going into work, I also quite often carry this as well, with a few tools and bits and pieces in it. Also, as if I'm out for one of my random little wanders through the forest, I will generally have my cold steel trail hook. More for collecting jagger than anything else, but also for making small fires in a firebox, things like that. Well guys, that's it for today. I've got quite a lot of footage. I hope the video's not too long. Bit of editing should sort that out. Well, thank you very much for watching. Please give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't done already. And I'll see you all again soon for another Googly Bushcraft video. Bye for now.